"Get out of the pool," my mom yelled at my kids. "This party is for respectable family, not divorced failures." 50 guests stood there watching as we climbed out, soaked and embarrassed. I quietly picked up our towels and left without saying a word. The next morning, her realtor called her. "Ma'am, the owner of the beach house is ending your lease." That's when my mom found out I was the owner. You know that feeling when your entire world implodes, and then, just when you think you've picked up the pieces, your own mother decides to throw a grenade into what's left? Yeah, that was my 4th of July weekend, and the chlorine smell from that beach is still clinging to my hair, days later. Everyone's been asking what happened, why I ghosted social media. So, here it is, the whole, raw, brutal truth, because I'm done with whispers and half-truths. My mom, Diane, has this annual summer gathering. It's always at a fancy beach house in the Outer Banks, a tradition since I was 7. But it was never just a party, it was her personal coronation, proof of her perfect life, her status. Catered, decorated to the nines, every penny meticulously showcased. This year was the first time I'd been invited back since my divorce became final 18 months ago. My ex-husband, Trevor, cheated with his dental hygienist, cliché, right? And when I filed, my mother acted like I'd committed the ultimate sin. She told her book club I gave up too easily, that I didn't fight for my marriage. Never mind Trevor shacked up with the hygienist 2 weeks after I caught them. Never mind he drained our joint savings before I could even blink. But 6 weeks ago, Diane called. Her voice was stiff, formal. "The children should come to the party. It's been long enough. Not I miss you or I'm sorry. Just that the optics had been bad long enough." My absence was apparently starting to generate questions she couldn't deflect. My kids, Emma and Lucas, they're 8 and 5. They barely remembered the beach house, but they were so excited. New swimsuits, a whole week planned. I should have known better. My mother's 3 failed marriages hadn't taught her empathy, they just made her meaner about everyone else's struggles. We arrived on July 3rd. The house was stunning, right on the beach, massive windows, wraparound decks. Diane met us at the door with air kisses that didn't even brush my cheek. "The guest room is ready. Try not to let the children track sand everywhere, Kelly," she said, her smile tightening, like speaking to me was a chore. That first night was tolerable. Dinner was tense, but civil. Emma asked why Grandma seemed angry, and I just told her some people have serious faces. Lucas spilled juice, and I cleaned it lightning fast before Diane could open her mouth. We walked on the beach after dark, collecting shells, and for a fleeting moment, I actually thought, maybe this could work. July 4th? It started wrong. Immediately. At breakfast, Diane critiqued my sundress, too casual. My hair needs professional attention. Then she turned to Emma, told her swimming technique needed work, and offered to pay for lessons so she wouldn't embarrass herself. Emma's little face crumpled. She had just joined the swim team and loved it. I opened my mouth to say something, but Diane was already barking orders at the caterers about appetizer tables. Guests started arriving around noon. Diane's friends, my father's business associates, distant cousins. My younger brother showed up with his fiancée, and Diane fawned over them like they were royalty. My older sister, conveniently, couldn't make it, she was hiking in Oregon. The afternoon dragged. People kept asking about the divorce, their voices dripping with fake sympathy and barely concealed curiosity. "How are you managing, Kelly?" they'd coo. One of my mother's tennis partners even chirped, "Well, you're still young. You can find someone else." As if Trevor blowing up my life was just a minor setback, like losing a tennis match. My whole world had shattered. Emma and Lucas spent most of the afternoon in the pool, playing with some second cousins, having splash contests, eating popsicles. I sat nearby, nursing a lukewarm lemonade, half listening to an ant drone on about Tuscany. Then, around 4 p.m., my father's business partner arrived with his new wife and her 2 teenage sons. Diane lit up, gushing, insisting they jump in the pool immediately. The Teenagers were polite enough, but clearly too cool for a family party, glued to their phones. Then one of them, maybe 16, decided to cannonball right where Emma and Lucas were playing. The splash was enormous. Lucas came up crying, startled, saltwater stinging his eyes. I was already moving toward the pool when Diane's voice cut across the deck, sharp and clear. "Oh, for heaven's sake, Kelly. It's just water. Stop being so dramatic." Lucas was 5. He was startled. I scooped him out, wrapped him in a towel. Emma had climbed out too, sensing the shift, the way kids always do, faster than adults. "Maybe we'll take a break," I said quietly, trying to de-escalate. Diane stood near the appetizers, surrounded by her friends, that pinched look on her face I knew from childhood, the one that meant someone was about to be eviscerated. "A break? You just got here. Let the children play," she snapped. Lucas got scared. "Mom, we're just going to, he needs to toughen up, Kelly. You baby him too much." That's probably why Trevor left. The conversation around us died. 50 people, maybe more, suddenly found their drinks fascinating. My face burned. "That's not appropriate," I managed to say. "Oh, now I'm inappropriate? I'm not the one who couldn't keep a husband." Her voice carried, cutting. "I'm not the one who's raising children in a broken home." Emma's hand found mine, trembling. "We should go inside," I whispered, trying to keep my voice level. "No. You know what? I've been patient. I invited you here despite the embarrassment you've caused this family, despite everyone asking me what went wrong with you. But I will not have you disrupting my party." She marched toward the pool, her heels clicking on the concrete. People parted like the Red Sea. The teenagers looked uncomfortable. My brother opened his mouth, but his fiancée touched his arm, and he stayed quiet. "Get out of the pool," Diane commanded, looking at Emma and Lucas, even though they were already out, wrapped in towels beside me. Then her gaze fixed on me. "This party is for respectable family only, not divorce failures, Kelly." The words hit like physical blows. Emma started to sob. Lucas buried his face in my side. Nobody said anything. Nobody defended us. My brother stared at his shoes. My aunt suddenly had to check her phone. I gathered our towels, our flip-flops, Emma's goggles. My hand shook, but I kept my face blank. I would not give Diane the satisfaction of seeing me break. "Come on, kids. Let's get changed," I whispered. Emma clung to me. Lucas sniffled. Even then, I knew they were watching. How their mother, Kelly, would respond when someone tried to shatter her dignity. We went to the guest room. Emma sobbed as I helped her out of her swimsuit. Lucas asked why Grandma was mean. I had no answer that wouldn't make it worse. We packed quickly, shoving clothes into bags, not bothering to fold anything. Diane was holding court when we came back through, telling some story that had people laughing. She didn't look at us. Nobody walked us out. We loaded the car in silence, Emma still sniffling, Lucas asking if we could get ice cream. The drive home took 3 hours. We stopped for dinner at a burger place. Emma barely touched her food. I told them both that sometimes grown-ups say terrible things they don't mean, knowing it was a lie. Diane had meant every single word. That night, after I got the kids settled, I sat on my back porch and finally let myself cry. Not just about the party, but about everything. The divorce, Trevor's betrayal, my mother's cruelty, the way nobody had stood up for us. The way I had become someone people pitted, someone uninvited from family events, someone whose mother publicly called her a failure. I drank wine and scrolled through my phone, seeing photos from the party already posted. Diane beaming with my brother. The elaborate dessert table. The sunset over the ocean. No pictures of us. We'd been erased. Sleep came around 2 a.m. The next day was Sunday. I made pancakes, let them watch extra TV, tried to act normal. Emma asked if we'd see Grandma again. I told her I didn't know. Around 10:30, my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Hello, is this Miss Diane Carlson? A professional, brisk voice asked. No, this is her daughter, Kelly. Can I help you? I replied. Oh, my apologies. I'm trying to reach Miss Carlson regarding the property at 4782 Ocean Vista Drive. I'm her realtor, Patricia Hammond. Do you have her current number? Something cold settled in my stomach. That address. That's the beach house, I said, my voice barely a whisper. Is something wrong? I need to inform her that the property owner is terminating her lease. She has 30 days to vacate. I've been trying to reach her all morning, but her phone goes to voicemail. Terminating the lease? Why? A pause. Shuffling paper. The owner didn't provide specific reasons, but the lease terms allow for termination with 30 days notice. I really need to speak with Miss Carlson directly. I gave her my mother's number and hung up. Then I sat very, very still. Thinking. For years ago, when I was still married and working as a financial analyst, I made an investment Trevor never knew about. My grandmother, my father's mother, died and left me $200,000. Trevor was already acting distant, already starting his affair, though I didn't know it yet. Some instinct made me keep that money separate. I invested most of it in real estate through an LLC, boring, practical properties. Some commercial spaces, a duplex in Raleigh. And one beach house in the Outer Banks that had been in foreclosure, priced well below market value because it needed extensive repairs. The beach house purchase happened during what I now recognize as the beginning of the end of my marriage. Trevor had started working late 3 nights a week, supposedly catching up on patient files. He was distant, distracted, his phone constantly buzzing with office messages he'd step outside to answer. I didn't confront him then, partly denial, partly not wanting to confirm my suspicions. Instead, I threw myself into the renovation project. I spent weekends driving to the Outer Banks, meeting contractors, choosing paint colors and fixtures. The house had good bones but needed everything: new roof, updated electrical, kitchen gutted to the studs. I learned about permits and building codes, negotiated with suppliers, got my hands dirty pulling up old carpet. Trevor barely noticed my absences. He was too busy with his own secret project. The renovation took 8 months. When it finished, the place was stunning. Clean lines, coastal colors, windows that framed the ocean perfectly. I listed it with a property management company under the LLC name. They handled everything: marketing, bookings, maintenance, collecting rent. I bought it, fixed it up, and leased it long-term to a management company that handled vacation rentals. Anonymous. Clean. Profitable. The LLC was registered under my maiden name, with my college roommate, who worked in real estate law, as a business partner. Nobody in my family knew. Trevor never found out, so it wasn't part of the divorce settlement. The beach house at 4782 Ocean Vista Drive. The same one Diane had been renting for her parties for the past 3 years. She'd complained about the previous owner selling it, worried the new owner would raise the rent or end the long-term arrangement. I'd listened sympathetically, knowing I was the new owner, knowing I deliberately kept the rent the same to avoid suspicion. There was a strange satisfaction in those moments, sitting at Diane's dinner table before the divorce, listening to her worry about the mysterious new landlord, while I nodded and made sympathetic noises. I hope whoever owns it now appreciates having a reliable tenant, she'd said once, refilling my wine glass. Not everyone pays on time or takes care of a property the way I do. I agreed, straight-faced, while internally marveling at the irony. My mother was literally paying me rent while simultaneously telling her friends I was financially irresponsible post-divorce. The property management company handled all direct communication. So Diane never saw my name on anything. Rent checks went to the LLC account. Maintenance requests went through the company. I stayed invisible. A ghost landlord, collecting passive income from my own mother's need to maintain appearances. I'd never planned to use this information. It had been enough to know I had this secret piece of security, this asset that was mine alone. But remembering Emma's tears, remembering Lucas's confusion, remembering Diane's voice dripping with contempt as she called me a failure in front of 50 people, something shifted. I called Patricia Hammond back. "Miss Hammond, this is Diane Carlson's daughter again," I said, my voice steady. "Actually, I need to clarify something." "Yes," she said carefully. "I'm the property owner. The LLC is mine. And yes, I want to terminate her lease." 30 days. Another long, stunned pause. "You are?" I don't understand. I own the beach house. I have for 3 years. My mother doesn't know. And I want the lease terminated. "Miss Kelly, this is highly unusual. If there's a family dispute, perhaps, the lease terms allow for termination with notice. I'm exercising that right. Please send the formal notification today." She tried to talk me out of it. She suggested mediation. Compassion. Understanding. But I was calm, professional, utterly certain. After we hung up, Patricia sent the official letter to my LLC inbox. Formal. Legal. Unmistakable. I made lunch for the kids. Played with them in the backyard. Emma seemed better, though she still asked twice if Grandma was mad at us. I told her grown-up relationships were complicated. My phone started ringing around 3 p.m. "Mom." Again. Texts followed. Long ones, short ones, angry ones, panicked ones. I ignored all of them. Let her sit with it. Let her feel, for once, the consequences of her own cruelty toward her daughter. My brother called next. "What's going on?" "Mom is freaking out about the beach house," he said, sounding breathless. "Is she?" I replied, stirring macaroni on the stove so Emma and Lucas wouldn't overhear. "She says the owner is kicking her out. She's called her realtor like 10 times. Do you know anything about this?" "Why would I know anything about Mom's rental situation?" I asked, keeping my voice flat, neutral. The same voice Kelly had learned to use when dealing with Diane. "I don't know. She's just really upset. She's saying someone's targeting her. She thinks maybe it's because of some fight at the party." "Were you guys fighting?" "She called me a divorce failure in front of her entire party and told my kids to get out of the pool because we weren't respectable enough." "Does that count as fighting?" Silence. "Then she said that you were there, Cameron. You heard it." "I mean, she was stressed about the party. You know how she gets, right?" "How she gets?" I repeated. "And nobody says anything because it's easier to let her treat people like garbage." "That's not fair," he muttered. "It's really not," I agreed. "But anyway, I can't help with her real estate problems. Hope she figures it out." I hung up before he could respond. Diane showed up at my house on Monday evening. I'd been expecting it. The kids were at their dad's for his custody week, so at least they didn't have to witness round 2. She stood on my porch, looking smaller, somehow less formidable than usual. Her perfect makeup was smudged under one eye. "We need to talk," she said. "Do we?" I asked. "May I come in?" I considered making her say whatever she came to say right there on the porch, visible to my neighbors. Instead, I stepped aside and let her into the living room. I didn't offer coffee or ask her to sit. "The beach house owner is terminating my lease. 30 days. Do you know anything about this?" "Why would I know anything about your rental agreements, Mom?" "Don't play games with me, Kelly. This happened right after the party. Right after our disagreement." "Disagreement? Is that what you're calling it?" Diane's jaw tightened. I may have spoken harshly. The party was stressful. I'd been preparing for days and things weren't going smoothly. You called me a divorce failure. You said I wasn't respectable enough for your party. You made my children cry in front of 50 people. I was frustrated. No, I said. You were cruel. There's a difference. She sat down, uninvited, her hands twisting in her lap. I've been renting that house for 3 years. I've hosted parties there, important events. Your father's business associates expect the 4th of July gathering. I have a reputation to maintain. Maybe you should have thought about that before you humiliated your daughter and grandchildren. Her eyes snapped up. So, you do know something about this. We're not doing this dance, I said. You contacted the owner, she pressed. You're trying to punish me. I didn't contact anyone, but I'm also not going to help you fix your problems. We stared at each other. Outside, someone's lawn sprinkler came on. The rhythmic tisk-tisk-tisk filled the silence. I apologize, Diane said finally. I shouldn't have said those things. I was out of line. The words sounded rehearsed, hollow. An apology designed to get what she wanted, not because she meant it. Too late, I said simply. What do you want from me? She demanded. Do you want me to grovel? Fine. I'm sorry. I'm deeply sorry. I'll apologize to Emma and Lucas. I'll tell everyone at the party that I was wrong. Just help me figure out what's happening with the beach house. I can't help you. Can't or won't. Both. Diane stood, her face hardening. This is petty. Childish. Whatever you did, whatever you said to the owner, this proves exactly what I said about you. You're bitter and spiteful because your marriage failed. That's enough. Get out of my house. You'll regret this, she snapped. When you need family, when you need support, remember that you burned these bridges. Funny, I said. I needed support on Saturday. Where were you, Mom? She didn't answer. She left, her heels sharp on my hardwood floors. I watched her car pull away, then locked the door and poured myself a generous glass of wine. The calls and messages continued for days. My father reached out, diplomatically suggesting I help your mother understand the situation with her rental. My aunt sent a long text about family loyalty and forgiveness. Even some of Diane's friends, people I barely knew, started contacting me, asking if I could intervene with the beach house owner. I ignored all of it. 2 weeks later, Diane called from my brother's phone. I answered without thinking. I know it's you, she said, her voice shaking. I hired a private investigator. He traced the LLC. It's yours. I said nothing. 3 years, she whispered. You've owned it for 3 years. You let me rent your property without saying anything. You took my money and pretended you had nothing to do with it. The lease was legitimate, I said. You got exactly what you paid for. Why didn't you tell me? Why do you think? Because you're spiteful, she exclaimed. Because you wanted something over me. No, I said quietly. Because when I needed support, you told everyone I was an embarrassment. You stopped inviting me to family events. You made it clear that my failure reflected badly on you. The words came faster now, years of resentment untangling themselves. I kept the house secret because it was mine. Something you couldn't take or criticize or use against me. Trevor didn't know. You didn't know. Nobody knew. It was the only thing in my life that wasn't judged. And now you're using it to punish me. No, I said again. Now I'm using it to protect myself and my children. You think I want Emma and Lucas around someone who calls their mother a failure? Someone who tells them they're not respectable enough? Someone who humiliates them in front of strangers? She inhaled sharply. I was angry, she said. You were honest. I corrected. That's what you really think of me. Fine, but you don't get to think that and also profit from my success. You don't get to call me a failure while renting my property. Diane was crying now, ragged, uneven breaths over the phone. What about the 4th of July parties? I've hosted them for 23 years. People expect it. Then rent a different house, I said. There are hundreds. Not this late. Everything's booked. I've already sent invitations for next year. Then uninvite people, I said. Or host it at your house. Or don't host at all. Please, she whispered. I'm begging you. I'll pay more rent. Double. I'll sign a longer lease. The lease is terminated. You have 2 weeks left. I'm your mother. And, I said, maybe you should have acted like a mother. I hung up immediately. My phone started ringing again. Cameron, my aunt, my father, even some of Diane's friends. I turned it off. That weekend, I took Emma and Lucas to the beach. A different beach, a different town, just a day trip. We built sandcastles, hunted for shells, and ate overpriced ice cream from a boardwalk stand. Will we go to Grandma's party next year? Emma asked. Probably not, I said. Because she was mean. Because sometimes we need space from people who hurt us, even if they're family. Lucas found a perfect sand dollar, intact and white. Should we give it to Grandma? He asked. Maybe to make her less sad. I forced a gentle smile. Let's keep it for our house instead. The final week of Diane's lease arrived. I got updates from the property management company. She'd hired movers, was removing her furniture. Left the place immaculate, probably hoping I'd change my mind if she followed every rule perfectly. I didn't change my mind. On the 31st day, I got a formal notification that the property was vacant and the security deposit would be returned, minus minor cleaning fees. I stood in my kitchen reading the email, feeling nothing. No triumph, no satisfaction, just exhausted relief. My father came by that evening, the first time he'd visited since the divorce. Your mother is devastated, he said, sitting stiffly on my couch. Okay, I replied. She doesn't understand why you're doing this. Yes, she does. He sighed. Kelly, she says the 4th of July tradition means everything to her. Yes, I said. I know. She told me. But she also told her friends I wasn't respectable enough to attend. So, she can figure out a new tradition. My father rubbed his forehead. Family forgives, honey. That's what family does. Family also protects each other, I said. Defends each other. Doesn't publicly humiliate each other. I leaned against the doorframe, crossing my arms. You were there, Dad. You heard what she said. You watched us leave. You didn't say one word. His face paled. I thought your mother was just upset. She has strong opinions. You know that. I've learned to pick my battles. Dad, picking your battles is one thing. Being a bystander is another. That's unfair. Is it? I asked. When is the last time you stood up to her? When is the last time you told her she was wrong? He had no answer. We sat in uncomfortable silence until he left, muttering something about me needing to think about reconciliation, as if the problem was my unwillingness to forgive rather than Diane's unwillingness to change. Weeks passed. Summer faded into fall. Emma joined soccer. Lucas started kindergarten. Trevor sent child support late again, and I had to send a lawyer letter. Normal divorce parent problems. The beach house relist as a vacation rental, booked solid within days at premium summer rates, no long-term leases. I'd make significantly more money than Diane's monthly payments had generated. My brother got married in October. Small ceremony, immediate family only. I wasn't invited. My aunt sent a text, your mother can't handle the stress of you being there. Please understand. I understood perfectly. Diane had successfully positioned herself as the victim, the mother wounded by her ungrateful daughter. Never mind what actually happened. The narrative was set. Christmas approached. No invitation to family dinner. Fine. Emma, Lucas, and I made our own traditions. We decorated our house with ridiculous amounts of lights, baked cookies, watched holiday movies. Trevor took them for Christmas Day, so I volunteered at a shelter, serving meals to people who actually had nowhere else to go. My phone rang late Christmas night. Diane. Slightly drunk from the sound of it. The house feels wrong without you and the kids, she said. I didn't respond. I miss them, she said. Emma and Lucas, I miss watching them grow up. You made a choice, I said calmly, the voice of Kelly, who no longer bends. I made a mistake. Can't you forgive me? Forgiveness isn't the issue, Mom. Trust is. You showed me exactly who you are and how you see me, and I believe you now. I was having a bad day. Everyone has bad days. Most people don't publicly eviscerate their children when stressed, I said. That wasn't stress. That was cruelty. You've been holding back for years. There shouldn't be these consequences, she whispered. I'm your mother. Then act like it. She hung up. Or maybe I did. Hard to remember. New Year came. Emma turned 9. We had a party with her friends, laser tag and pizza. She didn't mention Diane once. In February, I got a letter. Handwritten, 4 pages. Diane's perfect cursive filling both sides of expensive stationery. She wrote about her childhood, her own difficult mother, the pressure she'd felt to be perfect. She wrote about watching my marriage fail and feeling like it reflected her parenting. She wrote about the beach house, how losing it meant losing the image of herself she'd carefully constructed. She wrote, I know I hurt you. I know I hurt Emma and Lucas. I can't take back those words, but I want you to know I'm working on myself. I've started therapy. I'm trying to understand why I lash out when I feel threatened. The letter ended with, I don't expect forgiveness. I don't expect you to let me back into your lives immediately, but I hope someday we can rebuild something. I hope my grandchildren will know me as better than I've been. I read it 3 times. Put it in a drawer. Didn't respond. 2 weeks later, another letter, shorter this time. Updates about her therapy sessions. Acknowledgement that she'd been controlling and critical. An actual apology that named specific behaviors. I'm sorry for calling you a failure. I'm sorry for making your divorce about my embarrassment. I'm sorry for prioritizing appearances over your well-being. I still didn't respond, but I stopped deleting her voicemails. March brought spring break. The kids wanted to go to the beach. I hesitated, then booked 3 nights at my own beach house. The property management company arranged it, didn't charge me, treated us like VIP guests. Emma and Lucas loved it. We had the whole house to ourselves, walked on the beach every morning, collected enough shells to fill a bucket. Is this Grandma's house? Lucas asked. No, I said gently. This one belongs to us. On the last day, sitting on the deck watching the sunset, Emma said, I think Grandma is sad. Why do you say that? I asked. She sends me birthday cards with money, and she always writes I love you at the bottom. I hadn't known about the cards. Trevor must have been giving them to the kids at his place. Do you want to see her? I asked carefully. Emma thought about it. Maybe, but not if she's going to be mean. That's fair. Are you still mad at her? She asked. It's complicated, I said. She hurt my feelings badly. Sometimes people we love do that. Emma studied my face with the seriousness only a child can manage. Did you hurt her feelings, too? Kids cut through everything. Probably, I admitted. But sometimes protecting ourselves means other people get hurt. We flew a kite until it got too dark to see. April. Diane sent an invitation to Easter brunch at her house. Not a demand, not framed as an expectation, just you and the kids are welcome if you'd like to come. No pressure. I understand if you're not ready. I didn't respond, but I didn't delete it either. May brought Emma's soccer tournament, final game, championship match. She scored the winning goal in the last 2 minutes, and the parent section erupted. I screamed myself hoarse, so proud I thought I would burst. Afterward, collecting her trophy, Emma suddenly said, "Grandma's here." I turned. Diane stood near the parking lot, apart from the other families. She wore jeans and a simple shirt, her hair less styled than usual. When she saw me looking, she waved hesitantly. Emma ran over before I could stop her. I watched them talk, watched Emma show her the trophy, watched Diane kneel down to hug her. Lucas joined them, chattering about something, hands waving wildly. I walked over slowly. Diane stood as I approached. "I hope it's okay that I came," she said. "You could have asked," I replied. "I know I should have. I didn't want to put pressure on you." We stood awkwardly while the kids compared their medals with other players. "How did you know which field?" I asked. "I called the league office," she said. "I told them I was the grandmother." Despite everything, I almost smiled. It was such a Diane move. Determined. Stubborn. Unwilling to take no for an answer. "She played well," Diane said. "That final goal was incredible." "She worked hard this season," I said. "I can tell." A pause. "I've been reading parenting books," Diane said quietly. "My therapist gave me a reading list." "That's good," I said. The first genuine words I'd spoken to her in months. "I didn't realize how much I didn't know," she said. "How much damage I could do with words." Before I could answer, Emma ran back. "Can we get ice cream to celebrate?" she asked. Lucas wanted pizza. They began debating. I heard myself say, "Would you like to join us?" Diane's eyes widened. "I don't want to intrude." "It's just ice cream," I said. "Then you can go." "Yes," she whispered. "I'd love to." And somehow, it felt okay. We went to a local place. Nothing fancy. The kids got enormous sundaes and made predictable messes. Diane told Emma how proud she was, asked Lucas about kindergarten. Didn't criticize anything. When Lucas spilled chocolate sauce on his shirt, she just handed him napkins and said, "Accidents happen." Driving home later, Emma said, "Grandma was nice today." She was, I admitted the truth, even if cautious. Is she still mean sometimes? I don't know, baby. People can change, but it takes time to know if the change is real. Oh. Emma processed this. Can we see her again? Maybe, I said. We'll see. And that became our pattern. Slow, careful interactions. Diane at soccer games, birthday parties, casual dinners. Never alone with the kids, never overnight visits, always supervised, always with me, Kelly, setting boundaries. She slipped. Sometimes made comments about my parenting, criticized my housekeeping, asked pointed questions about my dating life. But when I called her out, she apologized instead of escalating. Real apologies, not the performative kind. In June, she asked if we wanted to come to a beach house she'd rented for a weekend. Different house, smaller, just family. I said, no, too soon. Too many bad memories. She accepted it without argument. July 4th approached. Emma asked if there would be a big party this year. I told her, probably not at Grandma's, but we could have our own celebration. What about Grandma? Will she be alone? I hadn't thought about it. She'll probably do something with Dad and Cameron, I said. That sounds sad, Emma murmured. Kids, in their inconvenient empathy. I called Diane. Do you want to come to dinner on the 4th? I asked. Just us. Hot dogs and fireworks at the park. Silence, then, I'd really like that. No party, I said. No guests. Just family. That's perfect, she said. And it was, mostly. Diane brought a watermelon and a pasta salad. She helped set up our picnic blanket at the park, played frisbee with the kids, didn't complain about sitting on the ground. When the fireworks started, Lucas got scared at the first loud boom, and Diane let him sit on her lap and covered his ears until he felt brave enough to watch. Afterward, helping pack up our things, she said, "Thank you for including me." "Don't make me regret it," I said. "I won't. I promise I won't." I wanted to believe her. Part of me did believe her, but another part stayed cautious, watchful, ready to pull back if she reverted to old patterns. Because here's what I learned. Owning that beach house wasn't about revenge. Terminating Diane's lease wasn't about punishment. It was about recognizing my own worth, about setting boundaries, about refusing to accept cruelty disguised as family dynamics. For 3 years, I'd secretly owned something valuable while everyone treated me like a failure. That disconnect taught me that their opinions didn't define my reality. Diane could call me a failure while literally paying me rent. The irony was almost funny. But more than that, using the house to establish consequences taught me that I didn't have to accept abuse just because someone was family. I could love my mother and still protect myself and my children. Those things weren't mutually exclusive. The beach house sits in my investment portfolio now, generating steady income, appreciating in value. I drive past it sometimes when we visit the Outer Banks, but I've never gone inside since Diane moved out. It served its purpose. These days, Diane and I have something resembling a relationship. Fragile. Conditional. Built on clear boundaries and consistent consequences. She still slips sometimes. I still pull back when she does. It's not perfect. Not the mother-daughter bond one wished for as a kid, but it's honest. And after everything, honesty might be the best I can hope for. Emma starts 4th grade this fall. Lucas is thriving in 1st grade. I'm dating someone casually, carefully, not introducing him to the kids yet. Trevor remains a mostly absent father who sends child support irregularly and makes promises he doesn't keep. Life goes on. Messy. Complicated. Nothing like the perfect image Diane always wanted to project. And that's okay. Because I learned that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply refuse to participate in someone else's script. Diane wanted me to play the role of apologetic daughter, grateful for any scraps of approval. Instead, I, Kelly, wrote my own story. The beach house was just the opening line.